Hello, dear members of the Soul Stories family. Today we will bring you a romantic, funny love story, so let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any meaningful stories. The press conference at Blackthorn Holdings looked more like a street riot than a corporate event, and Camille Monroe, seated in the front row, was trying very hard not to burst out laughing. Cameras pointed in every direction, reporters shouted questions, and Alexander Blackthorn, the CEO with the emotional range of a glacier, stood at the podium, his jaw clenched so tightly she thought it might actually crack. Headlines lit up on everyone's phones at once. Blackthorn CEO hides secret love child and mystery lover. Camille popped a mint and muttered, "With this much drama, I should have brought popcorn." "Mr. Blackthorn, who's the child's mother?" one reporter yelled, wielding a microphone like a weapon. Alex scanned the room with a razor-sharp stare, one of those looks that could make children cry. "No comment," he said, his voice so low and heavy it seemed to pull the air down with it. Camille leaned back in her seat, crunching the mint. She was only here because Blackthorn Holdings was the biggest client at her law firm. Every time she met Alex, he called her advice cute, as if she were an intern, not the litigator who once made a senior partner cry in court. Watching him now, floundering in the media storm, she couldn't help but feel a little smug. But the smugness vanished when a sleazy tabloid reporter raised his phone and showed a blurry photo of Alex next to a mystery woman. Camille squinted, then almost choked on her mint. The woman in the photo, in an old coat and messy ponytail, looked exactly like her, snapped outside a courthouse 3 months ago after a meeting with Alex. "Oh, hell no," she muttered, ready to sneak out of her seat. But before she could move, Alex's voice cut through the chaos. "That's enough," he shouted. He stood tall in his tailored black suit, then pointed straight at her. "Camille Monroe, my fiancée. Any more questions?" The room exploded. Camille's mint hit the floor and rolled somewhere under her chair. Fiancé? She'd rather marry her cat Tuna than this arrogant iceberg. But in Alex's eyes, cold as they were, she saw something desperate, a silent plea. "Please play along." Cameras zoomed in. Flashbulbs fired. Camille took a breath, then flashed a smile as sweet as poison. "Darling," she said, her voice dripping honey, as she stood and walked to the podium. "You forgot to mention we're getting married next week." The crowd gasped. Alex's left eye twitched. He clearly wanted to strangle her. Camille tilted her head and whispered just loud enough for him to hear, "You owe me big time for this, Blackthorn." 1 hour later, in Alex's sleek 50th floor office, Camille sat with her legs crossed on a leather chair, flipping through the contract he'd shoved across the desk. The air still carried traces of expensive cologne from the press event. Alex stood by the window, looking out over the city like a statue, if statues could scowl. "Fake marriage. 6 months. $2 million, he said, voice flat like a finance report. "You don't sleep with me. Don't get involved in my personal life. Just show up to required events. Clear?" Camille scoffed, flipping another page. The clauses were drier than tax law. No intimacy. No public affection outside of events. No disclosure of the agreement. She nodded slowly, then grabbed a red pen and scribbled a few additions. $2 million? For you? I'd rather represent my cat in court. At least he has better manners." Alex crossed his arms, squinting. "What do you want? Money? A house? A car?" She slid the contract back to him with a sly grin. "Sign it, then read." He frowned and picked it up. In 3 seconds, his expression shifted from stone cold to slightly panicked. Camille had added, "I'm allowed to wear fuzzy duck slippers in your mansion. Every Friday we eat dinner at a taco truck. My choice. If you scowl more than 3 times a day, I get to draw cat whiskers on your face with a marker." "You're insane," Alex muttered, but the corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. "And you're desperate," Camille replied, shrugging. "Deal?" Just then, Alex's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and put it on speaker. A sharp, commanding voice rang out. "Alexander, I just saw the press conference. Who is that girl? If this damages the company's image, I won't forgive you." Camille raised an eyebrow. "Alex's mom. She imagined a queen with a diamond tiara. Alex rubbed his temples, voice weary. Mother, Camille is my fiancé. Everything's under control. Control? You need a respectable family to impress our Asian partners. Don't disappoint me. The call ended. Silence settled in the room. Alex turned to Camille, eyes pleading. You see now, I need you. Camille tilted her head, pretending to think. Fine, I'll do it. But if your mom shows up, I charge extra for deep acting. She held out her hand. Deal? He shook it. His hand was warmer than she expected. Deal. Camille smiled sweetly. But in her mind, a plan was already in motion. Alexander Blackthorne, you just signed up for my game. Get ready, because I don't play nice. Camille Monroe sat cross-legged on the leather sofa in Alexander Blackthorne's office, holding a cup of hot coffee brewed from his $1,000,000 espresso machine. The fake marriage contract was still on the table, now covered in bright red scribbles from her pen. Alex stood across from her, arms crossed, his gaze drilling a hole through her forehead. You're seriously keeping the clause about drawing cat whiskers? He asked, his deep voice tinged with something like confusion. Camille took a sip and shrugged. Dead serious. That scowl you just made? That's the second one today. One more, and I'm getting the marker. She winked and Alex visibly stiffened. Yesterday, after the chaotic press conference, Camille had agreed to be Alex's fake wife to salvage Blackthorne Holdings' reputation and secure the deal with the Asian investors. But Camille wasn't the obedient type. If Alex thought he could control her with a dry legal document, he was sorely mistaken. Alex cleared his throat and slid a new contract across the table. This one thicker, printed on premium paper, clearly the result of an all-nighter. I revised it. No duck slippers, no taco trucks, and definitely no face drawing. You show up to events, play the good wife, and get paid. Clear? Camille skimmed the first page, her lips curling into a smirk. His revised terms were even harsher. No redecorating the mansion, no disruptive pets, a jab at her cat, Tuna, and mandatory weekly schedule reports. She burst out laughing, her voice echoing around the room. Did you write this like a tax code or a jungle law? If you don't like it, negotiate, Alex replied coldly, though there was a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. Negotiate? Sure. Camille grabbed her red pen and scrawled a new clause right at the top. You must refer to my cat Tuna as Your Majesty every morning in my presence. Failure to do so results in a $10,000 donation per day to a children's charity. Alex's jaw dropped. For the first time, Camille saw him truly flustered. You've lost your mind. I'm not calling your cat, whatever that is. Then there's no deal, Camille said, standing up and pretending to grab her purse. I'll go cuddle Tuna while you explain this mess to your mother and the press. Alex rubbed his temples, clearly counting to 10 in his head. Fine, he growled, but only when we're alone. Camille grinned mischievously and sat back down. Deal, but I'm keeping the duck slippers and the taco truck. And if you dare remove the whisker clause, I'll draw an entire mustache on your face at your next investor dinner. She extended her hand. Sign it, Blackthorne. He looked at her like he wanted to say, you'll regret this. But time was ticking. His investors were flying in 3 days. He picked up the pen and signed with a sharp stroke. Camille clapped once, satisfied like she just won a major trial. Game on. That afternoon, Camille received a text from Alex. Meet me at Hope Community Center at 4. Bring your fake smile. She raised an eyebrow. A charity event? On day one? Clearly, Alex wanted to test her acting skills before introducing her to the elite. Hope Center was a small building in the suburbs, offering free classes for underprivileged kids. Camille arrived early, dressed in a simple tee, jeans, and her fuzzy duck slippers, on purpose, just to annoy him. The moment she stepped inside, a group of kids rushed over and hugged her legs. Miss Camille, are you going to tell the story about superhero Tuna? Camille laughed, patting a boy's head. Not yet, but today I brought a new friend. Don't scare him off, okay? She glanced at the door as Alex stepped in, perfectly dressed in a black suit, looking completely out of place among the noise and chaos. A little girl held up a plastic ball and shouted, Mister, want to play ball? Alex froze. Clearly, he had no clue how to handle the situation. I, I don't play ball, he said stiffly. The kids erupted in laughter, and one boy tossed the ball right at his shoulder. Camille covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. Relax, Blackthorn, she said, handing him the ball. Just throw it back. Kids don't bite. Alex tossed it back clumsily, making the kids laugh even louder. Camille shook her head. Tragic. Good thing you're a CEO and not an athlete. The event began with a speech. Alex took the stage and droned on about Blackthorn Holdings' corporate social responsibility. Camille, seated below, whispered to a little girl, I bet he's about to frown for the third time. Sure enough, when a kid spilled a cup of water, Alex frowned. Camille raised her marker and winked. Alex glared at her, but the corner of his mouth twitched. The second time, she'd nearly made him smile. After the event, while kids gathered around Camille to draw pictures, Alex stood back and watched. She told a story about superhero tuna saving the world, making the kids laugh uncontrollably. But when a boy asked, Miss Camille, why don't you work as a lawyer anymore? Her eyes darkened for a brief second. I used to, she said softly, but the law doesn't always win, kid. Helping you guys feels better. Alex heard it, his brow furrowed slightly. Camille quickly changed the subject, but the line lingered in his mind. The woman who once argued fearlessly with him in boardrooms had another side he never expected. That evening, Camille sat at her best friend Anna's taco truck. Anna, a sharp-tongued chef with blue-dyed hair, slid over a plate of fish tacos and grinned. So spill it. You really agreed to be the fake wife of that arrogant CEO? I thought you hated the guy. Camille bit into a taco and shrugged. I do, but $2 million and a chance to torment him? Who could say no? She told Anna about the contract, especially the Your Majesty tuna clause. Anna burst out laughing, nearly dropping her spatula. That's legendary. But careful, Cam. That guy's rich, hot, and single. I bet you'll fall for him before the deal's up. Fall? I'd rather marry Tuna. Camille rolled her eyes, but Alex's face flashed through her mind, the way he almost smiled when she teased him. She shook her head. Get a grip, Camille. He's just a contract. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Alex sat at his desk, staring at the contract covered in red ink. He muttered, Your Majesty? This is insane. But as he remembered how she laughed with the kids, he found himself smiling, then quickly wiped the expression from his face. His phone rang. Victoria's sharp voice filled the room. Alexander, I hope that girl is trustworthy. Don't make me come check for myself. Alex sighed. Relax, Mom. Camille, she knows how to put on a good show. But deep down he wondered, is she the one acting, or am I the one being played? Camille Monroe rolled her suitcase into Alexander Blackthorn's mansion, her fuzzy duck slippers squawking against the marble floor. Tuna, the plump cat in her arms, let out a long yawn, as if he owned the place. The mansion was massive, all glass and steel, cold and sleek like Alex's office. Camille wrinkled her nose. This place feels more like a museum than a home. How do you even live like this, Blackthorn? Alex, standing on the staircase, arms crossed, let his gaze drift from her face to her slippers. You really brought those in here? He asked, voice heavy with judgment. Camille smirked and stomped a little harder to make the slippers squeak louder. Contract clause, remember? Duck slippers are the soul of my being. She set Tuna down, and he immediately bolted to Alex's pristine white leather sofa, promptly scratching a long, proud line across it. Camille covered her mouth in mock horror. Oh no, His Majesty doesn't approve of your couch. Alex clenched his jaw, clearly counting to 10 in his head. Keep that cat away from my furniture, Monroe. His Majesty, Camille corrected with a wink. Second time you've forgotten the clause. Tomorrow morning, I expect a cheerful, good morning, Your Majesty, before breakfast. Otherwise, she waved a red marker in front of him, shaking it like a threat. Alex glared, but the corner of his mouth twitched. The third time Camille had caught him nearly smiling. She made a mental scoreboard. Camille, 1, Blackthorn, 0. The first day of living together was a complete disaster for Alex. Camille turned his kitchen into a stage. She boiled a plate of eggs, carved them into heart shapes, and forced Alex to recite a declaration of love to Tuna before eating. "Dearest Majesty, I vow to serve all felines with honor and devotion," Alex muttered, his face tomato red, while Camille laughed so hard she cried. "Perfect," she clapped. "Now we just need to work on your delivery. Right now, you look like you're about to sue the cat." "You're completely unhinged," Alex said, but he still ate the heart-shaped egg, pride clearly swallowed with it. That night, Camille took over the living room, blasting her favorite sitcom and laughing out loud, popcorn flying everywhere. Alex walked in with a stack of documents and got hit in the forehead by a rogue colonel. He froze, staring at her like she was an alien life form. "Do you live like this? Every day?" Camille shrugged, tossing another piece of popcorn in her mouth. "Yup, you should try it sometime. Laughing is good for your heart. Oh, and that was your third scowl today. Where's my marker?" She pretended to dig through her bag, and Alex instinctively took a step back. "If you draw on my face, I swear I'll—" he started, but was interrupted by the ringtone on his phone. The caller ID flashed Mom. Alex sighed and put it on speaker. Victoria Blackthorn's sharp voice rang out. "Alexander, I heard the lawyer girl moved in. I'll be dropping by this weekend. If she isn't convincing, the Asian deal is off." Camille raised an eyebrow and whispered, "Your mom's terrifying." Alex shot her a look and ended the call. "You heard her. Be ready. She's not easy to fool." Camille grinned wickedly. "Fool? I'm a master of performance. But if she asks, I'll tell her you proposed with a paperclip." Alex glared, but there was a flash of helplessness in his eyes. Camille, 2, Blackthorn, 0. On the weekend, Alex and Camille attended a high-profile investor party. Mr. Huang, the Asian partner, would be evaluating their happy couple act. Camille arrived in a fiery red evening gown that turned every head in the room. Alex, in a tailored black suit, whispered, "You look acceptable." "Acceptable?" Camille arched a brow. "You look like a cologne commercial. Relax. I'll have Mr. Huang eating out of my hand." And she wasn't kidding. At the party, Camille transformed into the perfect wife, sharing sweet, made-up stories of their love, holding Alex's hand with gentle affection, and even tearing up as she spoke about his romantic proposal. Mr. Huang, a jovial older gentleman, laughed and clapped Alex on the back. "You found a gem. She reminds me of my wife in her youth." Alex, trying to maintain his cool facade, couldn't hide the slight blush when Camille leaned her head on his shoulder. But she wasn't done. When a female staff member accidentally spilled wine near Camille, she sighed theatrically and murmured, just loud enough for Mr. Huang to hear, "Alex never buys me flowers. Oh, he's always so busy." Mr. Huang turned sharply to Alex, now stern. "Go buy flowers. Now women need to be cherished." The room laughed, and Alex, face like stone, had no choice but to nod. 20 minutes later, he returned with an enormous bouquet of roses, thrusting them into Camille's arms. "Are you satisfied now?" he hissed under his breath. Camille sniffed the flowers, beaming. "Not bad, but next time, chrysanthemums. They suit Tuna better." She winked, and for the first time, Alex actually laughed. A small, honest laugh. Camille froze. Her heart skipped a beat, but she quickly shook it off. "Don't fall for that smile, Camille. This is all just part of the act." On the drive home, Alex finally broke the silence. "You're good, Monroe, but don't think I'll let you keep running the show." He glanced at her, his look both challenging and different. Camille shrugged, playing it cool. "Running the show? I'm just saving your contract. You should be thanking me, Blackthorn." But as she stared out the window, the image of the roses lingered in her mind. "I need to tell Anna about this." Back at the mansion, Camille was curled up with Tuna, watching a sitcom when the doorbell rang. She opened the door, and in walked Victoria Blackthorn, draped in an expensive fur coat, eyes sharp as daggers. "Camille, I heard you played your part well at the party," she said, settling on the sofa. "But I'm not so easily convinced. Hug each other. Now!" Camille blinked, then turned to Alex, still frozen on the stairs. "You heard your mom, darling." She stepped forward, wrapped her arms around his neck, and pulled him into a tight hug right in front of Victoria. Alex stiffened, but didn't pull away. His breath brushed her hair, and Camille felt her cheeks warm. Crap, oversold it. Victoria nodded, though her eyes remained skeptical. Good. I'll be watching. Don't disappoint me, Alexander. She stood and left, leaving behind an atmosphere thick as smoke. As the door closed, Alex stepped back, releasing her. You really don't know what boundaries are, do you? But his voice lacked its usual bite. Camille smiled, masking the racing of her heart. Boundaries? That's what I break, Blackthorn. She plopped down with Tuna, but inside one thought echoed. Camille, you're playing a dangerous game. Camille Monroe sat on the living room floor of Alexander Blackthorn's mansion, surrounded by colorful paper and pencils, instructing her plump cat Tuna to paint by stamping his paw into ink. Your Majesty, just a bit more green. This will be a masterpiece, she giggled while Tuna yawned, clearly unimpressed with his role as an artist. Sitcom sounds buzzed from the TV, but today Camille wasn't laughing as loudly as usual. She glanced at the clock. Almost 9 p.m. At this hour, she was usually somewhere else, not stuck in the cold, steel and glass fortress of Alexander Blackthorn. Alex walked in, suit jacket gone, shirt sleeves rolled up. He looked less like a CEO and more human. He surveyed the chaos on the floor and frowned. Did you turn my living room into a daycare? Camille smirked and held up Tuna's messy artwork. This is art, Blackthorn. You wouldn't get it. Your heart's made of steel, remember? She stood, dusted herself off, and grabbed her bag. I'm heading out for a bit. Don't let His Majesty snack on the cookies. He got a stomachache last time. Alex folded his arms, narrowing his eyes. Out? At this hour? The contract states you must report your schedule. Camille scoffed, slipping on her duck slippers. That's your clause. Me? I go where I want. Don't worry. I'm not on a date. You're not nearly worth getting jealous over. She winked, leaving Alex with a mix of irritation and curiosity. Camille arrived at Hope Community Center, a rundown building a few miles from the mansion. The walls were cracked, but inside it was warm, lit up and full of children's laughter. She took off her coat, wearing her usual bright smile. All right, little monsters, story time or superhero cat drawing? Superhero cat, the kids shouted, dragging her to a wooden table. Camille animatedly told the story of Tuna defeating an evil giant rat. The kids were rolling with laughter, but she noticed a boy, maybe 8, sitting quietly, eyes red. She sat beside him and whispered, What's wrong, buddy? Was the rat too scary? He shook his head and spoke softly. Mom lost her job today. I don't want her to be sad. Camille gently wrapped an arm around him, her heart heavy. She'd seen eyes like that before, in courtrooms where she couldn't help. Listen to me, she said with a soft smile. Your mom's strong, and so are you. I'll help her find a new job, okay? But first, draw me a superhero cat. He nodded and picked up a pencil. Camille sighed in relief, but her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Moments like this always reminded her why she left the law. What she didn't know was that Alex was outside the door, hidden in the shadows. He had followed her out of curiosity, wanting to know where she went at night. Watching her laugh with the kids, bursting with energy one moment, then comforting a boy with such tenderness, it felt like something squeezed in his chest. This wasn't the sarcastic woman who forced him to say, Good morning, Your Majesty. This was a side of Camille he had never seen before, and he suddenly wanted to. A little girl spotted him by the door and shouted, Ball guy, the one who played catch. The children swarmed him, pulling him inside before he could react. Camille looked up, stunned. Blackthorn, what are you doing here? Alex, surrounded by kids, looked awkward. I came to check if you were breaking the contract. But his voice lacked its usual bite. One boy shoved a crayon into his hand. Draw a cat, mister. Alex looked at Camille, eyes silently pleading. She crossed her arms and grinned. Draw, CEO, or are you scared of being outshined by His Majesty? Alex gritted his teeth, but sat down and attempted a cat. It came out looking more like a fuzzy tennis ball. The kids howled with laughter, and Camille couldn't help but join in. Disaster. Stick to being a CEO. Later, as the kids went back to drawing, Camille leaned toward Alex and whispered, You really followed me? Feeling nosy? He met her gaze, voice low. You're not who I thought you were, Monroe. Camille blinked, her heart skipping. She turned away, pretending to fix a child's drawing. Don't let him get in your head, Camille. The next day, Camille returned to the center with a brand new box of toys. Cars, dolls, rubber balls. The kids squealed with joy, but she paused when little Tom said, The ball guy brought toys yesterday. Camille frowned and turned to one of the volunteers. The ball guy? A tall man in a suit, she explained. Didn't give a name, just said, for the kids. Camille froze. Alex? No way. But then she remembered the look in his eyes the night before, and she wasn't so sure. That evening, Camille sat at her usual taco truck with her best friend Anna, whose glittery blue hair shimmered under the streetlights. Anna slid a beef taco across the table. All right, spill. What's it like living with Mr. CEO? Still as insufferable as he was at that party? Camille took a bite and shrugged. He and Tuna are getting wrecked. But she hesitated and told Anna about the toy donation. Anna raised a brow and grinned slyly. Oh God, he's falling for you. A man buying toys for kids? That's a sign, Cam. Sign your head, Camille muttered. He's just protecting the contract. $2 million, remember? But she didn't mention the way Alex had looked at her, like he saw the entire world in her eyes. Anna tilted her head. You've told me about that center 100 times, but you never said why you quit law. Is it connected? Camille stiffened, her expression dimming. It's old news, she said quietly. I once sued a big company for child abuse. I lost, Anna. The law didn't protect anyone, so I walked away. Anna squeezed her hand. You're protecting them your way now. Don't blame yourself. Camille smiled weakly, but her heart stayed heavy. She had no idea that the company she once sued had distant ties to Blackthorn Holdings, a truth that would soon complicate everything. Back at the mansion, Alex sat at his desk, staring at the leftover box of toys he hadn't delivered yet. He didn't know why he did it, just that when he saw Tom crying, it reminded him of himself as a boy, always missing something unnamed. His phone rang. Victoria's voice rang out sharp as ever. Alexander, the investors were impressed with Camille, but I'm still skeptical. Don't let her ruin this. Alex sighed. She's not ruining anything, Mom. He ended the call and glanced at a scribbled cat drawing the kids forced him to take home. He smiled, then caught himself. He was thinking about Camille, not the chaotic lawyer with duck slippers, but the girl who gently comforted crying children. Who is she really? He didn't know, but something told him. Finding out would change him forever. Camille Monroe lay sprawled on the sofa in Alexander Blackthorn's mansion, cuddling her cat Tuna like a stuffed animal. The TV played a familiar sitcom, but her usual laughter was nowhere to be heard. Tuna yawned, casting her a look that seemed to say, You're acting weird today, human. Camille rolled her eyes. Don't look at me like that, Your Majesty. I'm totally fine. But she knew she was lying. All day, images of Alex, his rare smile at the investor party, the strange softness in his eyes at the community center, kept replaying in her mind. Alex walked into the room holding a cup of coffee, his shirt sleeves rolled up, forearms casually on display. He glanced at her, then frowned. You let that cat on my sofa again? Camille smirked, stroking Tuna. His Majesty sits wherever he pleases. Isn't that right, sweetie? She winked at the cat, then turned to Alex. Jealous of His Majesty? I cuddle him every night while you sleep with your stack of contracts, right? Alex stiffened, clearly hit where it hurt. He sat in the chair across from her, trying to maintain his usual cold demeanor. I'm not jealous of a cat, Monroe, but if you're trying to break the contract, feel free to cover the house in cat hair. Camille scoffed and raised the red marker. That was your second frown today. One more and I'm giving you full-on whiskers. Alex shot her a look, but the corner of his mouth twitched again. Fourth time. Camille, 3. Blackthorn, 0. The next morning, Camille woke up to the smell of something burning. She rushed downstairs to find Alex standing in front of a smoking pan, face flushed, holding a wooden spoon like a weapon. A pile of charred mystery substance sat in the pan. Blackthorn, she said, folding her arms. Are you trying to poison me or His Majesty? Alex turned, clearly flustered. You sneezed last night. Sick people need porridge. He gestured toward the pan, his voice stiff like a quarterly report. Camille blinked, then burst out laughing. Porridge? This is charcoal. Did you learn to cook in prison? She walked over, inspecting the disaster, then glanced at him. He stood frozen, redder than when his mother yelled at him. Her heart skipped. He made porridge. For me? Seriously? She scooped a bit onto a spoon, tasted it, and winced. Tastes like ash mixed with salt. But still, kinda sweet of you, Blackthorn. She winked, and for once he didn't glare back. Instead, he turned away and muttered, You're lucky you didn't die. But Camille wasn't letting it go. She pulled out a chair and sat, continuing to eat the porridge with theatrical effort. First time cooking, huh? Don't worry, I'll teach you. Next time, less salt, and maybe keep the flame under house-burning level. Alex looked at her, and his gaze had softened. Camille turned away quickly, hiding the warmth rising in her cheeks. Damn it, Camille. What are you even thinking? A few days later, Camille noticed something strange. Alex was breaking their contract. One morning, she woke up to find a small bouquet of chrysanthemums on her nightstand, with a note scribbled, For Tuna, not you. Camille chuckled and hugged the flowers, but her heart was beating way too fast. Your Majesty, what's he playing at? She asked the cat. Tuna just yawned. Then one evening, Alex knocked on her door with 2 tickets in hand. The Stray Cat play at the Grand Theater. You mentioned it once. Come with me. Camille froze. She had casually brought it up during a random argument. He remembered. Blackthorn, this breaks the contract, she said, arms crossed. No interfering with personal life, remember? He shrugged, a faint gleam in his eye. It's a public event. Investors like to see us happy. But when he turned away, Camille noticed his ears were red. She smiled to herself. Don't let him win that easily, Camille. At the theater, Camille wore a forest green dress and let her hair fall naturally, enough to make Alex stare longer than usual. The play followed a stray cat who finds a family. Camille laughed at all the funny scenes and even hummed along with the music. Alex barely watched the stage. He kept stealing glances at her. When she caught him, he quickly looked away. You laugh too loud, he mumbled. Because it's fun, Camille shrugged. You should try it. I'll teach you. She leaned in and whispered, Like this. She flashed him a radiant smile, and for the first time, Alex smiled back, small, warm, and sincere. Camille froze, stunned. She quickly turned away, pretending to fix her dress. He's just acting. Stay sharp, Camille. Later that night, back at the mansion, Camille was watching a sitcom when Alex walked in, holding the red marker. She raised an eyebrow. What now? Planning to draw whiskers on me? He sat on the couch, keeping a polite distance, and handed her the marker. You said I frowned 3 times today. Go ahead. His voice was calm, but his eyes held something daring, maybe more. Camille blinked, then burst out laughing. Blackthorn, are you serious? She took the marker, walked over, and drew a crooked set of whiskers on his cheek. Alex didn't flinch, just stared at her, his gaze so deep she nearly dropped the marker. Done, she whispered, voice a little shaky. You look like a knockoff version of His Majesty. He touched his cheek and actually smiled, his second real smile that day. Not bad. He stood and left Camille alone, heart pounding. She hugged Tuna tight and whispered, Your Majesty, I'm screwed. He's too damn cute. The next day, Camille visited Anna's taco truck, still looking dazed. Anna, flipping meat, noticed immediately. Spill it, Cam. You're blushing. What did the CEO do? Kiss you? Camille scowled and bit into a fish taco. Kiss your spatula. He made awful porridge, gave me flowers, bought theater tickets, and let me draw cat whiskers on his face. I don't get what he's doing. She told Anna everything, from the chrysanthemums to the rare smile. Anna burst out laughing, nearly dropping her spatula. Oh my God, he's into you. Men don't do that for a contract. And what about you? You falling for him? Falling? I'd rather fall for Tuna, Camille snapped. but her voice lacked conviction. Anna raised a brow, saying nothing as she handed her another taco. Eat up, then ask your heart. I bet it's already melting. Camille stayed silent, remembering that look Alex gave her. She shook her head. This is just a contract. Don't let him pull you into his game. Back at the mansion, Alex stood in front of the mirror, staring at the faint whiskers still smudged on his cheek. He touched them and smiled, then caught himself. He couldn't remember the last time he'd smiled this much. His phone rang. Victoria. Alexander, I heard Camille's impressing the investors, but don't let real feelings get involved. This is for the company. I know, Mother, he replied. But after the call, he looked at the leftover bouquet of chrysanthemums and realized something terrifying. He wasn't acting anymore. Camille Monroe, with her duck slippers, her royal cat, and that dazzling smile, had made him fall for her without even trying. He whispered, You win, Monroe. But he knew. This game was only just beginning. Camille Monroe stood in front of the mirror in the mansion's bedroom, adjusting the shimmering silver gown that hugged her curves. Tonight was a crucial event for Blackthorn Holdings, an exclusive gala where Mr. Huang, the Asian partner, would sign the $1 million deal if he still believed in the happy marriage between her and Alexander Blackthorn. Camille smirked at her reflection, then glanced at Tuna, her plump cat sprawled across the bed. Your Majesty, tonight I'm putting on my best performance, the kind that makes the whole world jealous. Ready? Tuna yawned, utterly unimpressed. Camille chuckled, but her smile faded as memories from the past few days returned. Alex gifting chrysanthemums, buying theater tickets, letting her draw cat whiskers on his face. All those gestures had made her heart flutter, no matter how hard she tried to deny it. It's just a contract, Camille, she whispered, smoothing her dress. Don't let him win. Alex appeared at the door, dressed in a tailored black suit, straight out of a fashion magazine. He glanced at her, blinking in surprise. You look fine, he said stiffly, though the tips of his ears turned red. Fine? Camille raised an eyebrow and spun once. I'm the star tonight, Blackthorn. And you always look like a cologne ad. She winked, but when Alex gave her that small, warm smile she was starting to recognize, she had to turn away to hide her burning cheeks. The party sparkled beneath a chandelier-filled ballroom. As always, Camille transformed into the perfect wife. She held Alex's hand, told hilarious, completely made-up stories about their first date, and even adjusted his tie in front of Mr. Huang. He's hopeless, she joked. His tie's always crooked. She winked at Mr. Huang, making him laugh heartily. Alex, despite trying to keep his icy demeanor, couldn't hide the fondness in his eyes when he looked at her. When Mr. Huang clapped him on the back and said, You're a lucky man, Alexander, Alex responded, I know. Camille blinked, her heart skipping a beat. He's acting, right? But something in his voice warmed her chest in a way she couldn't ignore. Halfway through the evening, Camille stepped away to grab a drink while Alex continued mingling. She stood at the bar sipping soda when she heard Victoria Blackthorn, Alex's mother, speaking sharply over the music. Alexander, I'm pleased with the party, but that lawyer girl, I hope you're not letting real feelings get involved. This marriage is only to save the company, right? Camille froze, her glass trembling slightly. She peeked over and saw Alex standing across from his mother, back straight. There was a pause, then he said, Don't worry, Mother. The marriage is only for the company. Camille knows that. His voice was flat, as if reciting a quarterly report. Something inside Camille twisted. She turned away, trying to breathe evenly. You knew this, Camille. So why does it hurt so much? She reminded herself it was all fake. The flowers, the play, the smiles. But those words, Camille knows that, cut deep. She forced a bitter smile and whispered, Yeah, I know. She returned to the party, plastered on her perfect smile, and held Alex's hand. But her eyes no longer sparkled. And though Alex noticed something off, he didn't say a word. By the end of the evening, Mr. Huang shook both their hands and declared, The contract will be signed next week. You two make a beautiful family. Camille nodded. But inside, all she wanted to do was run. The next day, Camille sat at Anna's taco truck, pale and dazed, staring at her fish taco like it might disappear. Anna, flipping meat on the grill, took one look at her and stopped. Cam, you look like tuna after a bath. Spill. Camille bit her lip, her voice barely above a whisper. I overheard Alex talking to his mom. He said this marriage is just for the company. That I know that. She paused, eyes red. I do know it's a contract. I've always known. But why does it hurt so much? Anna dropped the spatula and sat beside her, gripping her hand. Because you like him, idiot. The way you talk about him, chrysanthemums, whiskers, his dumb little smile. Cam, you've fallen for him. Camille shook her head furiously, but tears rolled down her cheeks. No, I'm not allowed to. He's acting, Anna. All of it. The flowers, the tickets, the smiles. Fake. I'm scared, Anna. Scared I've fallen into this stupid contract and fallen for him for real. Only to get crushed when he walks away like it meant nothing. She wiped her tears, trying to laugh bitterly. I already lost a major court case once. Lost my faith in law. I can't afford to lose my heart, too. Anna hugged her tightly, voice soft. You're stronger than you think, Cam. If you want to walk away, I'll support you. But don't run just because you're scared. You deserve to be loved, genuinely. Camille stayed silent, staring at her now cold taco. She knew Anna was right, but the fear inside her screamed louder than reason. Every time Alex smiled, every time he called her Monroe with that soft look, she felt herself falling deeper into a game she couldn't win. I have to go, Anna, she whispered. The contract has 2 weeks left, but I won't make it that long. Anna sighed, stroking her hair. Then go. But go like Camille Monroe, chaotic and proud. Write him a letter that makes him miss you and want to scream at the same time. Camille gave a weak smile, for the first time that day. Good idea. He'll remember me forever. That night, Camille quietly packed in the bedroom. Moonlight streamed through the windows, casting shadows over her small suitcase and lonely duck slippers. Tuna curled up on the bed, watching her with wide, glassy eyes, almost like he was scolding her. Camille sat beside him, petting his fur, her voice trembling. I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I can't stay. He scares me. I'm scared of my own heart. She pulled out a pen and paper, her hands shaking as she wrote a letter in her usual sarcastic tone. Dear Blackthorn, thanks for the burnt porridge, the chrysanthemums, and letting me draw whiskers on your face. My peak professional achievement. There are 2 weeks left on the contract, but I'm giving you early freedom. Don't let His Majesty eat the cookies. He gets stomach aches. And don't frown more than 3 times a day. I won't be there to draw cat whiskers anymore. Enjoy your papers and your cold mansion. Camille, the best rule breaker you've ever met. She folded the letter and placed it on the coffee table next to the half-wilted bouquet of chrysanthemums. She looked around the mansion, where she'd once laughed out loud, launched popcorn, and forced Alex to recite love declarations to a cat. Every corner held a piece of her, and of him. She clenched her fists. You have to go, Camille, before you fall in love with him for real. She gave Tuna one last hug and whispered, Take care of that idiot for me, okay? Don't let him burn the house down trying to make porridge. Tuna rubbed his head against her hand, as if agreeing. Camille set him down, grabbed her suitcase, and walked out into the night. Her duck slippers squeaked one last quack, quack, then disappeared into the darkness. The next morning, Alex woke up to a strange silence. No sitcom, no quacking slippers. He walked into the living room and saw the letter on the table. His face went pale as he read it. Monroe, you... He raced upstairs to her room, empty. Just the lingering scent of chrysanthemums. Tuna sat on the bed, staring at him like he knew everything. Alex clutched the letter, his hands trembling. He called Camille. No answer. Texted. Called again. Then he rushed to Hope Community Center, praying she'd be there. But the teacher shook her head. She didn't come today. She looked really sad last time I saw her. He returned to the mansion, collapsed on the sofa, and stared at the silly cat drawing she once forced him to keep. His chest ached. He missed her smile, her loud laugh, the way she called him Blackthorn with that mischievous glint. He realized then, Camille wasn't just a fake wife. She was the one who made him feel alive. His phone rang. Victoria. Alexander, the contract's nearly signed. Where is that girl? Don't let her ruin everything. Alex gripped the phone, voice low. Mom, I don't care about the contract anymore. I need her. There was a pause. You're in love with her, aren't you? Alex didn't reply. He just ended the call, looked at Tuna, and whispered, Your Majesty, I have to find her. She's everything. Tuna yawned, but his eyes sparkled with silent approval. Meanwhile, Camille sat in Anna's small apartment, clutching a pillow, eyes red. Anna pushed a taco toward her. Eat something, Cam. You're strong. He doesn't deserve you. But Camille shook her head. I'm not mad at him, Anna. I'm mad at myself for hoping. She didn't know that back at the mansion, Alex was scrolling through old messages and photos, replaying every moment they'd shared. He opened his laptop, searched for every piece of information on Hope Community Center. I'll go there every day, he whispered, until I see her again. For the first time in his life, Alexander Blackthorne was afraid of losing the only woman who made his heart beat like it meant something. Alexander Blackthorne stood outside the Hope Community Center, wearing a gray t-shirt and jeans, clothes he never thought he'd be caught dead in. Kids swarmed around him shouting, Ball guy, thanks to his infamous incident of throwing a ball straight into the wall last time. A little girl waved a crayon. Draw a cat again, ball guy. Alex looked around awkwardly, praying to catch a glimpse of Camille Monroe. But she wasn't here. It had been 3 days since she left the mansion, leaving behind that ridiculous gut punch of a letter that made him laugh and ache at the same time. He could still remember reading it, hands shaking. Thanks for the burnt porridge, the chrysanthemums, and letting me draw whiskers on your face. My greatest achievement. Contract still has 2 weeks, but I'm giving you early release. Don't let His Majesty eat the cookies. He gets stomach aches. And don't frown more than 3 times a day, because I'm not there to draw whiskers anymore. Since then, the mansion had felt colder than ever, even with Tuna still clawing at the sofa and yawning like he owned the place. Alex had called her dozens of times, texted, driven across the city, but it was like Camille had vanished. This center was the only place he thought she might return to. Ball guy, are you looking for Miss Camille? Tom, the little boy Alex once saw crying, asked. Alex nodded, voice low. She hasn't been here? Tom shook his head. She's off for a few days, but she liked you because you brought us toys. Alex blinked, surprised the boy remembered. He sat down anyway, letting the kids drag him into art class, even as his chest felt unbearably heavy. Monroe, where are you? Meanwhile, Camille sat curled on the couch in Anna's small apartment, dark circles under her eyes. Every time her phone buzzed, she hoped it was Alex, then felt stupid when it was another ad. Anna tossed a taco onto a plate. Eat, Cam. You can't survive on sitcoms and heartbreak. I'm not crying, Camille snapped, voice wobbly. I'm just resting. Contract's over. I need space. She took a bite, but it tasted as bland as she felt. That letter was supposed to be her moment of pride, but she hadn't expected to miss Alex this much. His rare smile, the chrysanthemums, even the way he clenched his jaw when she teased him. Anna crossed her arms, raising an eyebrow. You miss him, don't you? I swear I saw someone who looked like that CEO zombie driving past the center yesterday. Camille stiffened. Him? No way. He only cares about the contract. But her heart thumped harder. Don't hope, Camille. You already walked away. The next day, Camille forced herself back to the Hope Center. She wore a plain t-shirt and tied her hair up, pasting on a smile. But the moment she stepped in, she froze. Alex stood in the middle of the kids, covered in paint, holding a crayon, being bullied into drawing a cat that looked like a potato. The kids howled with laughter, and Alex, clearly struggling, kept drawing. Camille crossed her arms and said coldly, Blackthorne, what are you doing here? Looking for someone else to draw whiskers on? Alex turned, eyes lighting up when he saw her, but he masked it quickly. Monroe, I'm volunteering. The center needed help. He gestured to the drawing stiffly. Clearly, I'm more talented than you assumed. Camille scoffed, heart tangled. Volunteering? No need to keep acting. I'm not suing you for breach of contract. She turned to leave, but Alex gently grabbed her wrist. Wait, he said, voice deep and steady. I'm not acting. I'm here for you. Camille pulled back, eyes stinging. Don't, Blackthorn. You said the marriage was just for the company. I get it. Don't hurt me more. She walked outside. He followed, ignoring the kids yelling, Ball guy, come back. In the courtyard under the sunlight, Alex looked nothing like the arrogant CEO she once met. Monroe, he said quietly, you misunderstood. I said that to my mother so she wouldn't pressure you. I didn't want you to leave. Camille gave a bitter laugh, wiping her eyes. Misunderstood? You think one apology fixes everything? I'm not a prop in your power play, Blackthorn. I'm scared, okay? Scared of falling for you. Scared my heart will shatter when the contract ends. She hadn't meant to say that out loud, but the words spilled out, raw and honest. Alex looked at her, pain in his eyes. I tore up the contract, Camille. I want a new one. One with no end date. With you. Please. Stay. Camille blinked, heart pounding. But pride flared. Stay. It's not that easy. She tilted her head, smirking through damp lashes. If you want forgiveness, you've got to earn it. 3 tasks. 1. Wash dishes at the center for 7 straight days. 2. Sing a love song at the market near here. 3. Apologize to His Majesty for being jealous. Fail, and don't expect to see me again. Alex stared, then to her surprise, smiled. That soft, rare smile she tried to forget. Deal, I accept. Camille turned away, hiding her flushed cheeks. Damn it, he's still way too charming. 3 days later, Alex began the challenges. Day 1, dishwashing. He stood at the center sink, soaked in bubbles, dropped a plate, and the kids erupted with laughter. Camille stood arms crossed. Some CEO. Tuna could wash dishes better? Alex glared but kept scrubbing, even with suds on his shirt. Day 4, the marketplace. He showed up with a scratchy mic surrounded by fish vendors and fruit stalls. Camille, hidden in the crowd with Anna, clamped her hand over her mouth to suppress laughter. Alex cleared his throat and sang, Can't Help Falling in Love. Voice shaky, lyrics half forgotten. Wise men say, something about fools. The crowd burst into giggles. Anna elbowed Camille. He's singing your favorite. Still not melting? Camille rolled her eyes. Not yet. He still owes a cat an apology. But she couldn't deny her heart raced as Alex, bright red, kept singing, while an old lady shouted, Louder, honey. Day 7, back at the mansion. Camille had returned briefly to pick up her things. Alex knelt before Tuna, serious as a board meeting. Your Majesty, I'm sorry for being jealous. You're the greatest cat. Tuna yawned, then rubbed against his hand. Forgiven. Camille stood at the door, doubled over with laughter. Oh my God, Blackthorn! You're a disaster! Alex stood, walking toward her, eyes sincere. I completed your task, Monroe. What now? Camille looked at him, heart in chaos. She wanted to forgive him, but fear still lingered. I need time, she whispered. But you did good. His Majesty approves. Alex smiled gently, not pushing. I can wait. Just don't run again, Camille. I won't let you go a second time. He left her standing there holding Tuna, heart thudding wildly. She murmured, Your Majesty, I'm doomed. He doesn't play fair. That night, Camille told Anna everything over the phone. Anna shrieked. He apologized to a cat? Iconic. Girl, forgive him. That man's all in. Camille stared at the dried bouquet of chrysanthemums she'd taken from the mansion. She wasn't sure if she was ready, but for the first time she wanted to be. She wanted to try Dash, to believe in Alex, and to believe in her own heart. Camille Monroe stood in the kitchen of Alexander Blackthorn's mansion, holding a wooden spoon, teaching him how to boil heart-shaped eggs for the 3rd time that week. Blackthorn, stir gently or they'll crack. You want His Majesty eating lopsided eggs? She folded her arms, watching Alex scowl at the pot of boiling water. Wearing rolled-up sleeves, Alex gave her a sharp look. Monroe, I'm a CEO, not a chef. Why don't you do it? But he kept stirring more carefully this time, clearly trying not to break the eggs. Camille smirked and stroked Tuna, her chubby cat sprawled across the counter. Because you need to learn how to live, not just sign contracts. Right, Your Majesty? Tuna yawned and rubbed against her hand in approval. Alex shook his head, but the corners of his mouth curled up in a smile that now came more often, making Camille's heart flutter each time. After completing 3 ridiculous challenges, doing dishes, singing a love song in public, and apologizing to a cat, Alex had finally convinced Camille to move back into the mansion. She'd agreed, but only with one condition. No more contracts. If you make me cry, me and His Majesty are gone for good. Alex had nodded so fast she almost burst out laughing. Now they were living together as allies. At least that's how Camille told herself to hide how warm she felt every time he looked at her. One morning, Camille woke up to a note on the table. Go to the backyard. His Majesty commands it. Hey. Raising an eyebrow, she slid on her fluffy duck slippers and stepped outside. There was Alex standing with a tray of cat-shaped cookies that looked tragic. I tried, he said awkwardly, for Tuna. And you. Camille took a bite, winced. Tastes just like your burnt porridge. You're a kitchen disaster. Still, she kept eating, smiling as she chewed. Effort's there, though. Good job, Blackthorn. Alex looked at her with such gentle eyes that she had to turn away to hide her blush. Damn it, he's way too charming. That night, Anna called, her voice buzzing. Cam, I'm running the street festival this week. You and your CEO better show, or I'm taking custody of Tuna. Camille laughed and agreed, unaware that Alex was planning something even bigger than the festival. The festival day arrived. The streets near the Hope Center sparkled with lights and smelled like fried goodness. Camille wore a t-shirt with cats printed all over it and pulled Alex, wearing a plain white shirt, no suit for once, through the food stalls. Blackthorn, try Anna's tacos. Way better than your porridge disaster, she teased, nudging him toward the taco truck. Anna, her blue hair glittering, winked at Camille. This guy looks way less uptight. You've tamed him well. Alex shot her a glare, but obediently took a bite, then turned bright red from the spice, making Camille laugh so hard she almost choked. In the middle of the festival, a small stage was set up with a mic and some old speakers. Camille was happily eating cotton candy when Anna pushed Alex onto the stage. This guy has a very special performance, Anna shouted. The crowd clapped. Camille raised an eyebrow, curious. Alex stood with the mic, red-faced and clearly not used to crowds like this. I'd like to sing a song, he stammered. Then he started singing Can't Help Falling in Love, the same song he'd sung at the market once before. He was more confident this time, though he still stumbled at, Wise men say, fools rush in. The crowd roared with laughter, and Camille covered her mouth, both laughing and touched. He picked my favorite song, she thought, heart pounding. But the performance wasn't over. Halfway through, Tuna, secretly brought by Anna, ran up on stage and wrapped around Alex's legs, nearly tripping him. The crowd gasped. Camille burst into uncontrollable laughter, eyes watery. As Alex bent down to pick up the cat, a small box fell from his pocket. He scrambled to grab it, but it popped open, revealing a simple silver ring with a small green gem. Silence fell over the crowd. Camille froze, cotton candy in hand, hands trembling. Alex looked at her, took a deep breath, and knelt, still holding Tuna. Monroe, Camille, he said, voice shaking but steady. The old contract is over. This is the lifetime one. Will you sign? Camille blinked. Her mouth fell open. Then she burst out laughing, not to say no, but because it was so perfectly ridiculous. Blackthorn, is this your proposal? Cat wrapped around your leg, dropped ring, forgotten lyrics? She stepped onto the stage, arms crossed, but eyes sparkling. I'll need to consult His Majesty first. She crouched, whispering nonsense to Tuna. The cat yawned and rubbed against her hand, clearly saying yes. Camille turned back, smirking. All right, I'll sign. But if you make me cry, His Majesty will scratch your face. She held out her hand, and Alex, grinning like a fool, slid the ring onto her finger. The crowd cheered, Anna whistled, and Camille, even while trying to keep her usual sass, couldn't hide her flushed cheeks. Moments later, Victoria Blackthorne appeared, draped in a luxury fur coat, eyes as sharp as ever. Camille froze, expecting rejection, but Victoria smiled for the first time ever. "I knew this girl would change you, Alexander," she said, then turned to Camille. "Welcome to the family, even if I'm not sure I'll survive your duck slippers." Camille grinned and took Alex's hand. "You'll get used to it, Mom." The word Mom made Victoria blink. Alex squeezed Camille's hand tighter, eyes glowing with emotion. Suddenly, a man stepped forward. Mr. Lamb, an old business partner who'd once been outwitted by Camille. He scowled. "Alexander, you rejected my deal because of this girl?" Alex cut him off, voice cool but cheeky. "Mr. Lamb, I chose my wife. As for your deal, even Tuna wouldn't sign it." The crowd burst into laughter. Mr. Lamb turned red and stormed off. Camille elbowed Alex, whispering, "Not bad, Blackthorne. His Majesty is proud." Alex smiled, pulling her into a soft hug. "I just want you to be proud." That night at the mansion, Camille and Alex sat on the couch with Tuna curled up between them. Camille played with the ring, admiring the green stone. "Why this one?" "I figured you'd go for a giant diamond." Alex shrugged, eyes warm. "It matches your eyes, and His Majesty likes green." Camille laughed and leaned against his shoulder. "You're getting lamer by the day, Blackthorne." He kissed the top of her head, voice low. "You taught me how to love, Camille." She blushed, hugging Tuna to hide her face, but her heart felt fuller than ever. A lifetime contract didn't sound bad at all. Camille Monroe stood in front of the mirror in the mansion's bedroom, wearing a pure white wedding dress covered in tiny prints of cats and ducks, her own design just to stay on brand. She patted Tuna, her chubby cat, who was wearing a red bow and ready to be the ring bearer. "Your Majesty, today I'm actually getting married. No contracts. How do I look?" She winked. Tuna yawned dramatically, as if to say, "Acceptable." Today was Camille and Alexander Blackthorne's wedding day. Not a fake ceremony to save a business deal, but a real one, bursting with laughter and love. After the chaotic street festival proposal, complete with a fallen ring and a cat-wrapped leg, Camille had agreed to sign the lifetime contract. But of course, she was still Camille, fierce, proud, and determined to make this wedding exactly the kind of delightful madness she thrived in. Alex knocked, then entered wearing a simple black tuxedo, and still managed to look so good Camille almost dropped her brush. He stared at her, eyes lighting up. "Monroe, you look like you're about to bankrupt me with lifetime musical tickets." Camille smirked and twirled. "Blackthorne, you look like a cologne commercial. But I'll allow it. Ready to be my husband yet?" She winked and Alex smiled, a smile that now came so easily it made her heart race. "Ready," he said, stepping forward to kiss her. But Tuna jumped between them, rubbing against Alex's leg. "His Majesty is jealous," Camille teased, scooping the cat up. Alex shook his head, but the look in his eyes was nothing but love. The wedding took place in a small garden near the Hope Center, where Camille had once taught local kids. No luxury venue, no elite guests, just friends, family, and the children from the center, with a small local band playing joyful love songs. Anna, the bridesmaid with sparkling teal hair, ran over to hug Camille. "Cam, you look like Tuna after a spa day. I'm going to take pictures and blackmail you forever." "Try it, and I'll unleash His Majesty on you," Camille grinned. She looked around at the kids holding cat balloons, and even spotted Victoria Blackthorne, Alex's mother, sitting in the front row in her fur coat, wearing a genuine smile. The ceremony began, and Tuna, wearing his red bow, was led down the aisle by little Tom, the same boy Camille had once comforted. Of course, in true chaotic family fashion, Tuna stopped halfway, flopped down, and yawned so wide it made the whole crowd burst into laughter. Camille covered her mouth, whispering to Alex, "His Majesty's testing you." Alex, standing at the altar, bent to pick up the cat, only for the ring box to fall from his pocket and roll onto the grass. The crowd gasped. Anna shouted, "Ring drop number 2, classic Blackthorne." Alex flushed but laughed, picking it up. "Monroe, I swear, you and this cat are going to be the end of me." Camille stepped forward and grabbed his hand. "Good. I'm not marrying someone normal. They exchanged rings, and when the officiant declared, "You may kiss the bride," Alex pulled Camille into a sweet kiss. Cheers, applause, and Anna's wolf whistle ringing all around them. Tuna, unwilling to be forgotten, rubbed against both of them, earning another round of giggles. The reception was a beautiful disaster. The wedding cake, shaped like a cat's head and designed by Anna, had a corner licked clean by Tuna before they even cut it. The kids from the center ran everywhere, throwing balloons. One little girl even drew cat whiskers on Alex's cheek with a marker. Camille declared it an official family tradition. Victoria, who had initially looked skeptical, eventually laughed when Tom dragged her into a dance. Halfway through the party, Victoria raised a glass. "I used to think Camille was trouble," she said, her voice sharp but warm. "But she's the best kind of trouble for my son." She handed Camille an envelope. "This is a charity fund in your name to help children and cats." The crowd cheered, and for the first time, Camille hugged her, whispering, "Thank you, Mom." Alex squeezed her hand, his eyes shining. "You got my mother to accept duck slippers. I've lost to you, Monroe." Camille winked. "Good, because I plan to get matching cat slippers next." When the band played a slow song, Alex led Camille to the dance floor. He wasn't a great dancer. He stepped on her foot twice, but she didn't mind. "Blackthorn, you dance like you cook porridge," she teased, resting her head on his chest. "And you love me for it," he whispered, kissing her hair. Camille blushed but didn't deny it. "Yes, I love this idiot," she thought, smiling. Months later, Camille and Alex launched a foundation called Hope and Paws, supporting underprivileged children and abandoned animals. Camille led educational programs and campaigns, while Alex, still clumsy, helped fundraise and occasionally played ball with the kids. Once, he dropped a whole toy box and got roasted by Camille for a week, but he only laughed and pulled her into a hug. Alex also began writing a book, How to Love a Rule Breaker, a funny memoir about falling in love with Camille. The first page read, "She made me lose control and find my heart. If you love a rule breaker, bring duck slippers and permanent markers." When Camille read the manuscript, she laughed so hard she cried, then secretly hid a printed copy under her pillow. One evening back in the mansion, Camille and Alex sat on the sofa with Tuna yawning between them. Wearing duck print pajamas, Camille nudged him. "Blackthorn, what do you think about a baby clause? Tuna might need a sibling, brother or sister?" Alex blinked, blushed, then laughed. "Monroe, you're gonna bankrupt me in cat toys." He pulled her into his arms, whispering, "But I'm ready to sign that contract. With you." Camille blushed and buried her face in Tuna, but her smile was brighter than ever. Tuna, sensing the joy, nudged them both, as if to approve their future. Camille looked at Alex, eyes sparkling. "Lifetime contract, Blackthorn. No breaking it." He kissed her, and for the first time, the once cold mansion truly felt like home. Under the sunset, Camille and Alex sat on a bench in their cluttered garden, now filled with cat toys and balloons from the Hope Community Center. Camille, her silver hair tied high, wore a faded duck-printed t-shirt, stroking Tuna, descendant of the legendary Emperor Tuna. Alex, salt and pepper hair and glasses, still tall, held a yellowed copy of The Guide to Loving a Rule Breaker. "Monroe, you're still wearing those duck slippers?" he teased, eyes twinkling as they did 30 years ago. Camille smirked, stomping to make the slippers quack. "Blackthorn, you're still as zany as when you proposed, dropping the ring with Tuna tangling your feet. Good thing I loved you, or Emperor Tuna wouldn't have approved." She laughed, leaning into his shoulder, their hands intertwined. Anna, silver hair with streaks of green, rolled up in her mini taco truck, voice booming. "You old fogies, still as wild as when I was your bridesmaid? Cam, remember when you made him sing in the market, forgetting the lyrics, heckled by the veggie lady?" Anna cackled, setting down a plate of tacos. "Eat or I'll spill about Alex's burnt porridge disaster." Alex glared, but his cheeks flushed. "Anna, keep talking, and I'll confiscate your taco truck." Camille howled, biting into a taco. "Anna, you're the best friend ever. Remember when I ran off, and you told me not to flee from fear?" "Thanks, truly." Anna winked, hugging Camille. "Knew you'd come back to torment the CEO." She turned to Alex. And you, thanks for surviving Cam. No one else could. Alex smiled, holding Camille's hand, the silver ring with its green stones still gleaming. Thanks, Anna, but I owe Camille the most. She turned this arrogant jerk into an old man who can throw a ball. He kissed her hair, voice low. Thank you, Monroe, for breaking the rules and loving me. Camille blushed despite her age and nudged him. Blackthorn, you're so sappy, but thank you for letting me draw cat whiskers on you and making my heart race. She looked at Anna, then Alex, eyes shining. Both of you, thanks for this journey. Tuna yawned, rubbing against all three, as if approving their lasting happiness. Camille grinned, whispering, Lifetime contract, Blackthorn. No breaking it. Alex hugged her, Anna whistled, and the garden echoed with their laughter, the laughter of a zany, enduring love.